Start my video here, so I'm going to go right back into it again. But I wanted to just give you sort of a, again, short synopsis. I will do a rough layout of the cards. I'll go into it a little deeper after I do my synopsis. This may or may not be your story. Certainly take it as it resonates. And as well, you're not all making decisions on a Monday or a Saturday. So again, just be mindful of the time frame. Some of you may be just coming into this energy. Others may be sort of just exiting out of it, and others, as I said, may be something that you're currently dealing with. So either way, we're going to start out with my pre cards here. So what I'm looking at is the Tower. Okay, so the first card out as the Tower does indicate that there's some kind of, upheaval or disruption of some sort that you're dealing with in this period. Certainly does indicate there is something that's challenging you nonetheless. So it's the realization that you have to make a change in some way, in some aspect of your life, because there's something that is not have a strong foundation. So it's got to be something that's got to be pulled apart so that you can either isolate the elements that you can control to move forward, or in other words, somehow disassemble it in a way that you can digest it. So again, it's looking at a situation maybe a little bit more complex, but it's still dealing with a mental transformative process nonetheless. So again, the Tower, there's a bit of a disruption of some sort, some realization that you're coming to in the situation because of the Sun card, which also indicates you could be dealing with somebody that's younger as well. Sorry about my cards, guys. I tend to be really rough on mine here. I carry them around, so but either way, this is clarified by the Sun. So again, there's some kind of, the chaos, the disruption from the Tower does actually put you into a situation where you can actually gain some insight. There's more enlightenment. You're coming to a realization that you can actually free yourself, or, through some better sense of things. There's an understanding basically that's coming through. Light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. Now, the Knight of Pentacles, this is also something that kind of tells me this is a part of the approach. This is how you're actually dealing with it. It's sort of it's more along the lines of a steady, response approach. You're being diligent, whatever the Tower moment is, you're trying to focus on the elements of stability. So in other words, you're taking small steps forward, things that you know that you have some element of control over, and you're prioritizing in a practical, consistent way. So there's something here that tells me that you're still very much in control of that Tower moment, despite the fact that there's a lot of intensity and emotions that come up here in this reading. But I will still say you are still doing slow, methodical moves forward with that Knight. There's also something here uh, that talks about, like with the Eight of Cups, I mean, you're having to release something. So you're having to, so in other words, you're in a space of, through the layers of this complex situation, you are coming to a point where you're not releasing everything necessarily. Again, some of you, it's going to be, you may have more resources, you may be able to release more. Others, it may be more of an internal process and be a little bit slower. But nonetheless, the Eight of Cups, you are in that process. There is something here that you are able to let go of. There's some way that you were able to, you've developed some kind of clarity around the situation, so you're coming to terms with it. So again, this is definitely you coming into a space where you have more control over the situation, but it's a very slow incremental process nonetheless here. Now, the fact that we've got the Magician here does tell me you have a sense of agency and power over the situation. And hello, nobody. Nobody is a somebody. Everybody's a somebody. But anyway, with the Magician, this does tell me that, you are recognizing that you have the tools, the skills, the resources. You have the ability to get yourself through this situation. So there's some kind of shakeup, like I said, with the Tower. But through that, you've actually realized some sense of your own potential here. You actually realize that you have this ability to create your new reality. You're able to harness some skill set and actually use that to forward yourself in some area here. So again, overall, it still looks like you're going through a huge transformation with the Tower moment, but we also have the Empress. So this could be in regards to, because the Empress does tell me that you're actually starting to focus on you right now. This is where there's more nurturing, there's more, maybe you are using creative means to sort of deal with that by writing things down, or, see, and sometimes they say it's a good idea just to actually write out how you want to see yourself on the other side of things. What's the best version of yourself? How would you like to see yourself? And then you sort of grow into that. Fake it till you make it, as they say, to a certain extent. But after a while, you start to realize that how do I say, sometimes when we're caught up with a lot of emotion, we fall into that one-dimensional way of looking at things, and it's and to the exclusion of everything and all the other options that are available to us. So I think at this point, this is where you're starting to realize you need to prioritize you, and you're starting to realize that by prioritizing you, you actually open things up within yourself, so you have a bigger scope. In other words, you start to see that there's more beyond, a person that you might have been very much attached to, or a situation that you might have been very narrowly viewing. And so now you're starting to find more comfort within yourself. And again, this is where there's growth, there's care, there's expansion, there's more related to your emotional well-being. And again, this is seeking comfort, it's self-care, it's you focusing on you, and it definitely is you finding more inner peace. Okay, so now we're getting into the other cards. Now, this is the ones that I asked about. The Queen of Cups, this is a card that, like I said, you're going through some kind of a deep transformation. The Tower did indicate there's a major shift. The Sun, the rest of that is you regaining control, rebuilding again. You're seeking new growth, very slow and incremental, but you are able to release some of the troublesome areas or the thought patterns that were holding you back. Now you're in this space of, my question on this one was, what is holding you back? Ups, the Strength and the Lovers and the Fool. So this indicates to me that there's a lot of intensity. There's a lot of emotions that you're dealing with. Could be in regards to a friendship, could be in regards to a love connection. Either way, there's some kind of a shared connection here in some respects. So I do through that Tower moment, you are able to find that emotional depth, but, and that's where you find your empathy and the sensitivity and all of the things about getting in touch with your intuition through the Queen of Cups. But remember, this is also, when it's a blockage, it represents being a little bit more along the lines too protective over your heart, pulling in too much of the emotion so that it becomes more of an emotional block. And then once you have a block, then you have lingering pain. You also have unresolved feelings. So it makes it difficult for you to heal or trust the process of recovery. So you might not be trusting in connections or emotions or people at this time, feeling a little bit too vulnerable, emotionally drained, unsure of how to fully open up and sort of let go of those past hurts. So that's what I feel is still what you're dealing with in terms of blockages right now. And again, lots of intensity around the emotional side of things here, but you do have the resilience, you do have the courage. This is what this card represents. You may be struggling to find that inner courage and inner strength right now, and again, might be feeling a little bit emotionally weak or lacking, that feeling like you're lacking in that courage to sort of face things. But do know that the fact that it shows up here with so many other positive cards, it does tell me that it represents the power, to tame those emotions down, but not water them down or, hide them. What you're doing, you're not suppressing the emotions, even though right now you are suppressing the emotion, because this is part of the blockage right now. It's not really acknowledging your true power, but all the cards suggest you do have the power to recover. And again, this might be a major decision or a turning point with the Lover's card here as well. And it could be, again, in regard of connection or a strong friendship connection or something along that line, some kind of connection that's very impactful, partnership, whatever that is for you, that is causing the inner conflict or uncertainty. But just know that, it is a major decision that you have to sort of work through, but it also is one that I feel is a path that is, one that you're going to have to move through alone. I say that just because of all the emotional cards here, and the Fool card, it does really indicate that it's a journey that only you can take. You're stepping into the recovery process, you're embracing this new direction, because it does indicate that you're headed into a new space. These are all the clarifiers, and again, the main ones that you're dealing with right now were the Tower and the Queen of Cups. The Tower, main card, therefore, you are sort of still writhing with whatever it is that you're emotionally trying to deal with. But the Fool card does suggest, as well as the Queen of Cups and all the other cards that were that combination, it does still talk about you move a new direction. Like I said, this is still about trusting in the unknown, but it's also, you're not, even though you're hesitant to sort of make that first step, there is a lot of cards here that suggest to me a lot of commitment. You still have a lot of uncertainty. Your emotions are what's holding you back before you fully step into this recovery or embrace this new direction. But there is definitely something here that tells me that you know, you have a fear of making a mistake, a fear of being naive. You have, that is what, that self-doubt is what's holding things back from you, you know, kind of moving into this new direction a little faster. Now the next card's out. And again, sort of the advice on that would be, um, and able to overcome that emotional sensitivity, finding the inner strength, making a commitment to you, and any new direction that's going to put you in a place of finding inner peace, because inner peace is what's going to help you to embrace change. So again, there's things here about making clear choices and able to sort of move into this space of recovery. But there's internal conflicts and emotional wounds and a fear of change, and that's what your obstacle is that you have to conquer within yourself. When we get to the next cards here, so again, that was sort of your emotional vulnerability, that was holding you back. So you are finding you lack the confidence or the inner strength, but again, the cards are not showing in reverse, so this tells me that you are going to find those aspects. Find a clearer choice to be able to leap toward the change. The next cards out are King of Swords, Two of Pentacles, Wheel of Fortune, Page of Pentacles, and Seven of Wands. So we'll go through these ones. Sorry, guys. Take a little drink. 1 second. Okay. So now that we're into... Hello, Devansha. I don't know how you're on the same time schedule that I am. Oh, but I'm glad to see you there. And so now we're on to the King of Swords. So King of Swords is that potential to regain mental strength, or you're in a position of mental strength. Could be dealing air sign as well, Libra, Gemini, Aquarius. But it's the potential to really see things in a rational, strategic way. So there's something here about asserting your mental strength, working toward things in a very objective way, and able to overcome the challenge. And so then when we get to the Two of Pentacles, this is the card that tells me you are sort of juggling between a lot of things. So I feel a lot of your mental pursuits, right, is that's what you're juggling between. I feel like you might have a lot of responsibilities, but to me, it feels like there's a lot of emotions that are weighing heavy on you right now. And it just feels like because of that, you're kind of bouncing back and forth and trying ways to stay perfectly balanced. And by doing so, which is great, that you are adaptable and able to, find a way to, shift things and find an equilibrium. But that's where I see things at. So the third below that is the Wheel of Fortune. So this is shifting. This is a big decision. This is a big situation that's about to change, and for the better. So it is moving in your direction. It's going to change the circumstances around you. Who tells me those circumstances are in flux? So again, not only from the Two of Pentacles, but the Wheel of Fortune, that's in flux. That's a big decision. It's a big change that's going to sort of play out here in your recovery, of the situation of that tower. But again, the wheel is a turning point. And so I would say over the next 3 months, that is the period that it basically asked about. And again, tarot's a little hard on the time frames because there's so many other factors and other people and other things that have to, line up. But I did ask roughly on the time frame. So 3 months is what I'm looking at here. Over the next 3 months, you're going to see things shift in a way that supports your growth, your healing. And, the changes may be out of control or seem like they're out of control, but believe it or not, it's actually going to in your favor in a positive, favorable way. So all the cards are coming up positive. Page of Pentacles, again, could be dealing with a younger person here. Could be a love connection, like I say, because I do see two, I do see strong of that. But either way, Page of Pentacles is a new beginning here. So again, in a material or practical aspect of your life, you are making slow, incremental steps toward rebuilding your life, and it is you setting new goals here. And I feel like this is where you're pursuing a new direction. So you have healed yourself enough that you're able to start putting something into place that's going to be more of a strategy. So it's going to be you laying out more of a plan about how to go forward so that you can create, you're eager to grow here. This is what that card represents. You're eager to set ahead, get something fresh and new, sort of, upscale things in some way. You want something that's a little bit more exciting. despite the fact that you still are interested in very much creating stability through this recovery. I don't see you wanting any radical changes, but you definitely want a new direction. And so I see you setting those goals right now. And we have the Seven of Wands. So this one, again, facing those challenges, there's opposition, but you're in the upright position. You're definitely in a space of being very, um, you've got the upper hand in the situation. So whatever setbacks come forward here, you are able to, you're strong enough to face things now. Like there's some element here that, despite whatever the opposition is, again, you stand your ground, you defend your position. You're in that space of you're committed to your recovery. You're committed to you more so now than I think you have been. Again, the obstacles are, it's your emotions standing in the way of you. So despite the obstacles and the doubts that you have here, I feel like you have real potential to regain more mental clarity in this month. And again, with that strength of the King of Swords, it tells me that you're balancing multiple aspects of your life. Again, Two of Pentacles, all of that. But it's a positive shift in the circumstances. It's a bigger turn of events that you're shifting into. So again, your main cards out were the Tower and the Queen of Cups. And then the one was the King of Swords. So these are minor arcana, basically, the ones except for the Tower. So it feels like a lot of this is very internal processes, you and your mindset basically warring against each other. But I feel like you have the potential to really, create more of a normal life for yourself. And whenever I say normal, it's whatever's normal for you. I mean, if a lot of drama is normal for you, then I guess that's what you'll bring in. But if you're looking for inner peace, then you're going to know who to leave out of the situation and who to bring into the situation. It's whatever you want to prioritize. But either way, I show you putting in a lot of effort. I see a lot of adaptability, perseverance coming through. So, and as well, that King of Wands, or that King of Swords, is somebody, could be dealing with a legal situation here as well, or something contractual. But either way, I mean, the kings, queens, those kinds of things do represent somebody who is, putting himself back into a position of power. So there's lots of cards that sort of show me that you are putting yourself back into a position of power, despite all of this other energy that seems to be of a minor, the page, even though it's very positive, it's balancing out some of the instability of other cards. Like the Fool card on its own can be a lot of naivety and all of that, but it can also be, when it's coupled up with all of these other cards, the Lover's card, strong decision making, strong emotions. It also tells me that you're making it from a place of very emotionally driven decisions is what I would say. You're very heart-driven based kind of decisions. Okay, so getting into the next cards. So now we're on to the best outcome was my next question. Sorry, I'm just trying to find which cards I had. There we are. So this one is, so I've got the King of Wands, I have the Ten of Wands, the Hanged Man, Three of Swords, Three of Pentacles, Four of Swords. Now, in short, of course, we know the King of Wands can be somebody who's very entrepreneurial, enthusiastic, outgoing. Ten of Wands, end a cycle, something of a stoppage. I'm going to tie them all together. And then we've got the Hangman, some kind of a stuck mode, changing perspective. Three of Swords, heartbreak or some kind of a conflict. Three of Pentacles, upsetting things, could be involving other people. And Four of Swords, something that's going to bring you into a space of relax and rest and recuperate. So now we're going to tie it all together. So again, I see you here with the King of Wands being, there's lots of energy around here in this reading of going from, energy that has been very insecure and doubtful to very strong energy. So, and again, like we had the card of the Strength coming through, there's a lot of cards, and this could be a lot of people that are coming into the reading as well, but I feel like this is you putting yourself back into a place of confidence, leadership. You're taking charge of your life in the month of March, and you're really able to, see what the best outcome is for you. You actually have more courage in this period because you're starting to see more of a vision of what you want. And we had the Magician card come out there. Again, still clarifiers, but there's still some that tells me that you're stepping into a position of leadership. There's a lot more confidence in your decisions and your actions, and this is where you have the potential to really inspire others, by taking bold actions and manifesting your ambitions. Because and able to do that, you have to really, more in touch with yourself, your values, your belief systems. Because then, if you know what you stand for, it doesn't matter if somebody says, "Well, I think that's crap what you just said," because the point is when you are somebody who actually believes in what you're doing, it doesn't matter what anybody else says, because you don't have to sit there in defense of it, because you're still going to do it because you feel it's the right thing to do. So it's things along that line. You don't let something hold you back when it's something that you truly are committed to, and you want to find a way to express it into the world, express it into being. You want to make the world a better place so that, for the future generations as well, whether you're younger or older, I mean, everything that we put out there, resonates with someone, and they'll have an effect, a train effect. So now we're into the energy of the Ten of Wands. So this, of course, tells me that you are still carrying a bit of a heavy load, despite being in a more confident position. I feel it's been a burden to get there. There's been a lot of emotional overwhelm at times, a lot of responsibilities, because I did see you juggling it out here with the Two of Cups and all, or two of that was the Two of earlier there. Sorry, just trying to find. Yeah, it was the Two of Pentacles. So again, there's still something here that kind of tells me that in this month, you're still sort of juggling and navigating and trying to figure out how to best push through the overwhelm, basically. So you're getting some kind of signals now, I would say, that are pushing you through, to help you see the next phase of your own development. So to me, this is where the weight may be difficult to carry, but it's also a part of the process, because if you didn't have the external pressure, the internal pressure, you would change nothing. And therefore, everything else around you would change. And then you would be in a position of, oh my gosh, how do I, keep up with what just changed? I wasn't expecting that. Life is pushing you internally and externally to make changes, because your internal and external world is going to change, and you have to stay aligned with it. So again, the key is to challenge yourself to manage those burdens, avoid burnout. How do you delegate your responsibilities or lighten the load when necessary? So sometimes you're going to feel the burnout, but can you also pull back and know when you have to actually, build up your body or do something that makes you stronger? Because if you burn yourself out, you don't have the endurance to carry through your goals, your dreams, that kind of thing. So again, it's okay to do it now and then, but at the same token, it's, you have to know when to appreciate yourself and build your body. Your body carries you through. Do things for the body, because you don't want to be missing a leg or missing an arm or missing an eye, because the world's a lot different when you don't have the eyes, or you don't have one arm, or you don't have, and it's not to say you can't function, but it sure changes things when you realize you are missing something that you used to have. So be appreciative of the things that you do have. Anyway, my rant. But the thing is when you get to the Ten of Wands, like I said, you're in that space of really, kind of pushing through the hard work. And ultimately, it's a part of the process that leads to success. As they say, you have to be willing to fail many times so that you know how to win. You don't go from, you just don't go from at being at a starting point and then jumping into immediate success. There's going to have to be a lot of trial and error all the way through. So you know how to deal with people, so you know how to, deal with the yellow brick road, right? So you know which stage of the game that you need to adapt a new resource or a skill or a tool to level it up. So then when we get to the Hangman, this is kind of that space where you are dealing with those thoughts. This is where you take that moment to reflect. This is where you see things from a different perspective. This is where you pause. This is where you're reassessing the aspects of your life. But also, when you view it from a new angle, it allows you to release old patterns. And it also is where anything that was holding you back is now going to be putting you into a space and move forward. So, because once you identify it as something that's holding you back, then you realize, okay, well, that's not going to, if I continue to think this way, I'm going to be doing the same pattern. I'm going to be doing the same thing. I won't be able to get out of the same day. It's Groundhog Day. So, then we move on to the Three of Swords. So again, this is where you're definitely dealing with some kind of emotional heartbreak or pain. But this is where, again, that's why the pause. This is where the release is, and certainly the burn in your heart has been where a lot of this has taken place. So there's something that's kind of built up here. And again, this could be, this could be that space where, it's difficult, but the best outcome really is when you do face and process pain. So when I say process the pain, it doesn't mean that you say it's okay for me to feel the pain. It is okay for you to feel the pain, but it also has to be in the next step, to say to yourself, I can't, I had to go through that so that I could realize where I had boundaries, so I could realize, what was acceptable to me, what is not acceptable to me. I had to look for those red flags, which I didn't notice before because I was too in love with love, or you know what I mean? You have to start looking at things from different angles and able to really see what it is that you're actually looking for. What is congruent to your life and the way that you to unfold? Do you want somebody who's very motivated and ambitious, as you might be, or do you want somebody who's very relaxed and finding inner peace and very spiritual, where you do go on retreats, or, it's knowing what you want and actually breaking it down. Because if you have too much gray area, other people will fill in that gray area and it won't be the things you want necessarily to. It's got to be a relationship or a connection or something that you can grow with. And that goes for your ambitions as well. You have to be able to grow into it and be the best version of yourself. If it tears you down, it's not something that I mean, it's one thing to have it tear you down so that you can rebuild it back up, so long as it's in line with your beliefs and your values. But if it's constant tear down and you can't see your way through it to clear that negativity, it just keeps building, you might have to step back and sort of reintegrate some kind of new skill or whatever to deal with whatever the current level up that you're dealing with. Makes any sense? Anyway, on to next card, Three of Pentacles. So now we're into that space of, this is taking teamwork is the dream work, that kind of thing. Anyway, it's collaboration, it's leveling things up. It is definitely, a better outcome, building a more meaningful more meaningful connections with others. You're working towards shared goals. It's success that's coming through cooperation of other people. So you're finding more strength in your relationships and in your connections. And I just feel like the opportunities to grow here are actually quite strong. So I feel like you're working with others better. This is a little further out. These are clarifiers, but once you process more of these painful circumstances, I feel like that's where you're ending up. And again, there's still a situation here where I feel like, again, you're finding inner strength through those relationships, those partnerships, those connections. And I feel like you might also be doing more learning or working with others, or something that's going to, build up your own personal skill set, so that it's more of a collective effort either way. So now we're on to the Four of Swords, and of course that is the rest, recuperation, and healing, all of that. So I feel like your emotional challenges, you are making that time a little further out. These are clarifiers. Again, some of you might work through this a little faster, some of the energy, but you are going to get to that proper self-care, basically. You are seeing the importance of that. You're going to be good to your body, because I do see cards of you nurturing and all of that, and really taking the time to, because again, like when you realize you have more endurance, more strength, and more, it's easier to make goals when your body feels healthy, when you feel mentally healthy, when you feel mentally at peace, and there's more clarity. So either way, I just feel like there's a lot coming through here about proper self-care, and that helps to give you the strength, to keep going. But again, in summary, I mean, there's a lot of cards here that speak to you starting to master some things about yourself. And I feel like a lot of you are in a leadership sort of, or you have that energy. You're coming off as, leadership, confidence, that kind of thing. And I do feel like, despite the fact that you have a lot of intense emotions, it still feels like you're managing your burdens and your responsibilities fairly well, because there's a lot of deep reflection here and transformation. And despite the fact that, the Tower moment is what you're currently sort of, faced with, it does feel like that emotional pain, even with the Three of Swords, it all seems to really lead to growth and healing with you. I don't feel like you're letting it hold you back, even though I see Knight of Pentacles, it was slowing things down. So it is a slow, incremental process for you. I don't feel like it's a hurried scenario. It just feels like you're managing things, taking the time that you need to sort of work through it and heal. So again, it's more essential for you to do that. So you take the time you need, because otherwise, if you don't, you rush through, you're going to end up back in the same cycle again, and then essentially it's slowing you down. So now we're going to get to the next cards out. So the ones here I have off to the side. Sorry, give me one more second here. I'm just trying to figure out which ones I had. Because again, the ones that I had here, maybe I'll just quickly mention here. This was also the question that I asked with this one was, what is the best outcome for you? And the best outcome, and again, this is over the period of 3 months, this was the best outcome, which did indicate leadership, confidence, feeling much more inspired. And again, just shortening it all up here again with that hangman, it's emotional healing from the past pain that's making you stronger, because the Ten of Wands, heavy burden with all this pain emotionally. And again, this is the best outcome for the next 3 months. And then we'll kind of go through some other reads as well that will layer it out more. But Three of Pentacles again still tells me that, you know, this is a really good outcome, because your relationships are quite strong, and I feel like through that, that's helping you to heal. And again, you're prioritizing more yourself, and so because of that, you have greater resilience to achieve your goals. Okay, getting on to the next cards now. All right, so the next ones out we've got Eight of Swords, Knight of Cups, Five of Wands, Five of Swords, and the Star. All right, so this one, the question that I asked on this one is, you know, what you have going for yourself. Now, I know it doesn't look very good when you're looking at the Eight of Swords, ultimately, because that is a card of feeling trapped and restricted by your own thoughts and mental, you know, anguish, that kind of thing. It could have sort of a physical, you know, aspect to it as well. But either way, I feel like this is really telling you have an opportunity to liberate yourself and shift your perspective. So again, the mix here is one of challenge, but it also has strength that you can rely on through these tough times. That's what that combination to me tells me, because it's what you have going for you to get through. So the Knight of Cups, of course, is that you're led by your heart. So as much as that can also be inhibiting you, which is kind of where things are at, because there's a lot of intense emotion, but it's also the very thing that, again, balance, because when you find the balance, it can be your advantage. And that's what it is telling me. As much as it's your disadvantage, it's also your advantage. So the Knight of Cups indicates that you have a strong emotional drive. You're very idealistic. You like to move forward in situations, you know, with passion, with heart. You know, you kind of wear your heart on your sleeve, that kind of thing. But either way, you're motivated by your emotions, and that is what creates, you know, your desires. That's what your passions are, something that really push you ahead. You're also someone who's very inclined to follow your intuition. And I feel like that's what guides you through your struggles, is your emotions and your intuition. Now, the Five of Wands does indicate external conflict, competition, struggle, all of that, internal conflicts. Like I said, I feel like it's kind of that fight or flight sort of situation. So even though I feel you're very resilient in dealing with pressure and difficulties, you know, internally, externally, um, you know, like I said, it feels like you've had to deal with a lot, especially with the Five of Swords. So again, there's betrayal, there's dishonesty. That's what the Five of Swords is. So I feel like those pressures, you know, they were difficult victories. But again, they were victories nonetheless, even though you don't see them as victories. But it does suggest to me that you've chosen how to deal with the situation. Like you've been fairly wise in the way that you've dealt with the situation, despite the fact that I feel there's still more repression emotionally, and high intense feelings which might come out in other ways that could be more self-destructive. And that's what it sort of tells me here, that there's more of a self-destructive kind of nature here. But it also me that you've had to let go of some things here, because the situations, again, you've got small wins here. The fives, you know, are smaller battles, even though it feels, when you have an accumulation of those kinds of things around, it feels like a lot. But I still feel like these are small wins, and those conflicts help you to focus more on what's important to you. So again, you're learning how to navigate through and how to avoid unnecessary battles. That's what I see there. And again, of course, it's winding up with the Star card, which ultimately tells me hope, healing, renewal. Right? This is the card of the ultimate. So it does tell me, again, there is hope for the future. There's a lot of spiritual guidance coming in here. Again, you've got a lot of inner strength, especially very emotionally driven Cancer. But I would just say, like, you've got a bright future that's going to be coming up ahead. It does suggest to me that there's a lot of faith here again, and a potential to move forward with a lot more optimism. Now, my last card's out. Okay, so this one, again, in summary, it is still telling me that, you've got you're driven by your emotions, basically. You're very idealistic in nature, but I feel like you do have the ability to really engage and persevere through the challenges. You've had a lot of them here, because there's been betrayal, there's been a lot. They've got the 2 5s here that came out here. That was the 5 of Swords. There's been mental, um, trying to find it again here. The 5 of Swords and the 5 of Wands. There's been mental, internal, external struggles. There's been, betrayals, that kind of thing. But either way, I feel like you've had the strength and the emotional resilience that's coming through here, because all the cards end on very positive notes for you. So again, I feel like this is what's telling me is that is your strength. That's the things that build character, is our difficulties. Again, if life was always extremely positive, it wouldn't necessarily it'd be like being rich all the time. Not to say that that's a bad thing, but if you had everything that you always wanted, you didn't have anything that was going to be a challenge or an obstruction in any way, you wouldn't grow. It would just be the same day every day, Groundhog Day. It doesn't matter if it's negative or positive, it's still Groundhog Day. So again, the whole point here is you have faced dishonesty, you have faced deceit, you have faced, these difficult things, but you have also had victories. Now you know what you're made of. So that's why that matters. So now we're into the place of, okay, so my last question on this one is, what are the good things that are coming in for you? So 1 second. Okay, coffee today, it's pop. But anyway, okay, so this is the Justice card, and this tells me this is the good things that are coming in for you. There is going to be a mix of major transformations, new opportunities, personal growth for sure this month. But I also see there'll be a sense of balance. People are going to be a lot, or not even necessarily everyone, but I mean, there's going to be a lot more overall fairness that's coming into your life in the month of March. Where things wrong, now it's going to show that things are being righted. There's a lot more fairness that's being restored back into this month. So again, that can be legally, that can be karmically, whatever that is for you that is helping you to resolve something, is leading to a sense of relief. Huge transformation when we get to the Death card. So there's major points here of transformation. So it's the end of one phase, moving into the next. So it tells me that you're making way for something new. So again, it may feel like a loss because the changes were difficult, but this card really tells me that it was necessary for growth. I mean, anything that's going to bring us something better. If you want to become better, you have to know what you're made of. You have to face the challenges. Open up to something that's, for something better to emerge, right? So again, I say that because it is followed up by the Ace of Wands. Now, the Ace of Wands is the ultimate fresh new energy. It's inspiring. You're back on track. You're feeling much more alive. There's a new beginning. There's a promise for, a new adventure, a new job. I mean, this can be a lot of different things, but either way, the Ace of Wands is having a new sense of purpose or a direction. So there's something here. Again, some of you might be dealing with this in the month of March, again, or for others, it's going to follow within that next 3 months, because I did ask specifically for that time frame. But I also know that your main energies out is going to be fairness. You're going to be treated with a lot more fairness. That was the main card out. And then the rest of this just sort of is a trickle effect. So this is something that will layer out. But again, it's a fresh new energy. There's a lot more passion. This could be a new love that's coming in here. But I feel like you're just more motivated to take on new challenges. There's a lot more enthusiasm. There's a lot more energy all around. Now, the Five of Pentacles does tell me there is going to be, you've got this surge of energy to get into something, But we also have that sense of, I don't know if I'm enough. I don't know if I don't have the money, I don't have the resources. I don't feel like I have, I'm maybe in isolation. There's something here that doesn't feel like you don't think that you've got enough to go forward with. But remember, you have a lot of strong support systems and there's a lot more fairness in this month. So use those to your advantage. So, despite the fact that you feel like you have to be cautious with your resources as you go through this passing phase, because you are going through a phase of a difficult time transitioning out of that, and there's nothing wrong with being cautious, but just know that a lot of the cards here that I see are kind of bursting with curiosity, bursting in exploration, wanting to go forward, try something new, feeling inspired, explore. So I feel like this is where you are in that space of wanting to learn something new. You want to grow. So whatever that is for you, getting a new job, upgrading a skill, you're in that space of, I need to learn something. I want something new coming in. Excuse me. So the Queen of Wands, again, this is still around that energy of what's coming in for you. This is personal empowerment. The Queen of Wands is Aries, Leo, Sagittarius as well, but this is also being much more charming, being much more confident. This is that space of feeling a lot more, a lot of leadership energy, a lot of people coming in through here. So again, this may not all be in the month of March because these are all the clarifiers, but I feel like you're going to be treated with a lot more balance. Like I said, there'll be a lot more inner peace. There'll be a lot more fairness. People are going to treat you in a fair way. And I feel like that's going to lead to a sense of excitement because I feel like there's connections that are coming in here in the month of March that are helping you to sort of build on and explore more. But I will say, you still feel like you're struggling with some feelings of lack despite all of that. But I feel like you're still overall, your dominant energies are that you're empowered, you're confident, and you're ready to take on the world. That's what I see there. So keep moving forward, guys. Hopefully that gave you a little bit more insight and some momentum. But either way, I think March is actually going to be pretty good for you. Like I say, you're still dealing with a lot of intense emotions, but overall, everything is looking pretty amazing. Maybe I should just draw one more card as, let's see. I'm going to think of another question here. Is there a new love or an emotional situation or some kind of strong friendship or something that's going to be coming in the month of March that will ultimately change or help to assist in this situation? Seems like it's coming from the family front, your support system, or again, whoever you consider family. Eight of Pentacles. Still a lot of internal energy, could be Virgo. And again, there's sort of a Two of Swords energy here as well. Still at Eight of Swords, self-sabotaging, Queen of Cups at the bottom. So, okay, so we'll just go through each of these. Okay, so the Four of Wands, give me one more second here. Feels like your support systems, again, are going to be coming from a lot, again, still whoever this is for family or something around family dynamic, but we also have the Eight of Pentacles, so it feels like things are still being worked on in that area. That does seem to be where it's coming from. And I would say even with the Hermit energy, there's also you coming through, sort of being your own best friend here. Again, you're still working through some energy here that is still around. I don't know who this Queen of Cups is. Could be a female energy, nurturing and mother figure, anything like that. But there's still a decision I feel that you're sort of trying to make in regards to a connection. So I feel like that's still something that's got to be worked through here as well, because that Queen of Cups energy, Eight of Swords, still feels like there is some self-sabotaging energy that you're holding back with. But either way, I would say that's still your strength, even though you're not really seeing it as positive right now. But yeah, either way, I'm going to say that overall, I think whatever is coming in there as far as a connection, again, doesn't have to be romantic. Um, but either way, I just still feel like there is something there that you don't really see as a positive yet. So it's almost like the unknown. I feel like that is still a strong. I feel like that's still a strong network kind of situation. Like I said, it does feel like you are your own best friend. You're putting more time into you. There's a lot more emotional intuition going on here, and support again could be coming through from. But it seems like you're still sort of working on things. There's a lot of hard work that's involved here that you're doing on yourself. So maybe that's why I don't really see so much of that connection kind of going through. It's almost like it's kind of stuck or in a holding pattern right now, until you sort of work on you. So yeah, I don't really see anything connection coming in, but I feel like you do have connections that are coming through more so in this month. Like you have the support, but it feels like you're doing most of this internal work really at this point. So anyway, hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight. And maybe we'll do one last card as advice for this will be from the Archangel Power Tarot. What is the best advice for Cancer? What is the best advice for Cancer? Best advice for Cancer during the month of March. Best advice. Wow. Kind of goes in hand with what we just said. So, all right. You have solutions. Success that comes from objective compromise, self-control, patience, forgiving, and healing energy. Peace. Release the past. There is a more enriching future coming. Let go and let God. Seven of Ariel. You have invested wisely. Have patience and wait for the harvest. Review your progress and make plans for your next endeavor. You really are healing and in a place of building things again. But again, this healing seems like it's really taken a toll, whatever you've had to go through. But either way, you're on the right side of it. So just know you are going after inner peace. That's what your primary goal seems to be. I would say probably over the next few months, even though I do see you very slowly, incrementally making some plans going forward. Anyway, keep moving forward, and I will do another read here. Not sure which sign I'll do, but either way, till the next read.